Okay class, I'm going to look at some tools a bit more specifically today. What I've got here is some of the measuring and marking out tools. Now the one you'll be quite familiar with is the tri-square. So it's spelled T-R-Y, not T-R-I. So make sure you spell it the right way. So the tri-square is used for marking lines square to an edge. So for example, if we're marking this wee joint here, we would use the tri-square by holding it tightly against the wood and then drawing a line with a nice sharp pencil across here, and that's going to give us a straight and 90-degree angle. No use holding it like this, no use holding it like that, no use holding it like that. It's got to be tight against the stock. Okay, so this is the stock and this is the blade. Now the angle of the tri-square is 90 degrees, so that also helps us when we're making a joint. So I've made a wee joint here. Now I can check to see if it's square by holding the tri-square onto the joint like that. Now that tells me there's no gaps, so the joint is square. Okay, so that's the tri-square, guys. Remember that when we're using that for marking lines square to an edge. Now one of the other squares we use, you may not be as familiar with this one, but this is a MITRE square. Now this marks lines at 45 degrees. Now that's half of 90, because what we use that for is marking the MITRE joint. Now the MITRE joint is two cuts at 45 degrees, come together and make a 90-degree corner. Okay, so same again, as you can see, if you hold the tri-square there, you can see that that is a 45-degree cut. So you can see I've marked these earlier. So these two, when they're cut, come together to make the MITRE joint. So your square that I showed you there, the MITRE square, or 45 degree square. The next square that we could use in class is this one. It's called a sliding bevel. Now the bevel or angle can be changed by adjusting this blade. Now the blade can go backwards and forwards, and it can also go at an angle. Now you can see it goes all the way around and all the way around. So you get a whole multitude of angles there. Now it's most commonly used to mark this joint here, which is called a dovetail joint. Now if I pull this apart, you can see that there's an angled cut there. Now if I was marking that joint, what I would do is set that angle. Now that angle's a specific size. So that angle is generally what's called 1 in 6 or 1 in 8 degrees. Okay, so for every one we go forward, we go 6 up, and that helps to create this angle here. Now as you can see, that works there, and if I flip it over, it's the same angle on the other side. Okay, so we set that at that size and we use that to mark out all our angles. Okay, so that's the sliding bevel. Okay, another critical tool that we need when we're measuring and marking out is our simple steel rule. Now our steel rule starts at 0 and it goes in millimetres. Okay, so 10 millimetres, 20 millimetres, 30 millimetres, all the way up to 300 millimetres. Now this end is obviously rounded, we don't use that end, it's a wee hole, that's just for hanging it up. But we always work from this end, so this is a dead end, right? There's no overhang like you would get in a rule you would use in maths. So you need to make sure that when you're using this, that you start at exactly 0. Okay, steel rule. Another marking out tool is this one here. Now this is a marking gauge, and it comes in 4 parts. Now the 4 parts of the marking gauge are stock, stem, spur and screw. So they all start with S. So it's quite handy to remember that. So the stem, if you can imagine, it's a long straight piece of wood, so a bit like the stem of a flower or a plant. This wee sharp point here is a spur. So horse riders should be aware of what they have in their heels of their shoes to make the horse go a wee bit faster. They've got spurs, or they used to have spurs in the heels, and they would give the horse a wee kick and make it go faster. The stock is a square type cube shaped part. So I try to remember it as a stock cube, you know, for making soup. So that's how I remember it. So it's a stock cube, okay? And then the screw or thumb screw which is used to lock it in place. So when it all comes together, the 4 parts come together and the stock slides up and down the stem, and we can set it to whatever size we want, because this is for drawing lines parallel to an edge. So these lines here are scratched in the wood by using the marking gauge. So the spur is set at a size and it scratches that line, okay? Now, to set that, you would use your steel rule. So if I was coming in, say 10mm, I could adjust the screw, slacken it off, take my steel rule from the 0 point and set my marking gauge to that 10mm. Lock up the screw, check it, make sure it's still at 10, and that's you good to go. So for drawing lines parallel to an edge, so you would scratch a line all the way down, keep it tight against this stock, keep your wood tight against the stock, not like this, and not away out here somewhere. You've got to keep it tight, slide up and down. Okay, so another one that we use, this is very, very similar to the marking gauge, but this is called a mortise gauge. Now you can see it's got the same parts. It's got the stock, it's got the stem, it's got a screw, and this time it's got 3 spurs. You can see the 3 spurs there. Now this spur is the same spur as on your marking gauge. So this is a dual purpose tool. You've got a marking gauge this side and you have a mortise gauge this side. Now the mortise gauge is used to mark out mortise joints. So I showed you one earlier. This is a mortise joint here. This middle bit's going to come away, and you can see how the tool is set. So the 2 pins, the 2 spurs draw the same 2 lines parallel at exactly the same time. So that's used to mark mortise joint. You can also use it to mark a bridle joint, and that's really how it is. So here's another example here. This one, the mortise is going right through, and you can see how that matches up.